Greetings, my name is Jeremy Sutton from PrecisionPrinciple.com, and in this video we're going to discuss some techniques for Metta, or loving kindness meditation. If you'll recall from the last videos, there are three types of meditation. There are single-pointed focused, open monitoring or open awareness, and Metta, or loving kindness meditations. This third category of the loving kindness is qualitatively different from either open monitoring or single-pointed focus. And it's different because in this meditations, we are actively fostering feelings of love and compassion in ourself. So this is quite a bit different from, of course, focusing on one point, which is sort of developing a strength of the mind to be able to focus on one point. Open monitoring, it feels a lot like balancing in the mind. And here, we're actually cultivating a quality that we're trying to take out with us into the world. Now, there are special practices where we can do specifically Metta meditation practices. But there are also ways that we can take our daily meditation routine, even if we tend to focus on a single point of focus, to an open monitoring. We can take these at the end of our practice to the next level by spending some time to foster sort of compassion and gratitude at the end of each meditation session. Now, one of the most common techniques is to cultivate this sense of compassion by repeating in your mind during your meditation words such as, may you find peace, may you be free, may you have grace and compassion. Something like this you can repeat to yourself, and you can direct these at different people. So now remember, it's important to remember that these Metta meditations are sort of more advanced techniques. And so you do want to foster some single-pointed focus to get your mind clear, to get focused. It does help to have a quality of open awareness so that your mind really is clear, you are really sort of centered in your meditation. And then sort of when we get deep in there, that's kind of an ideal time to work on these Metta meditations. In fact, you might not want to really move here until you've practiced the first two styles of meditation for quite some time. Myself included, I tend to focus mostly on a single-pointed focus and then move to open monitoring. And then I start to incorporate the Metta meditations only after the timer has sort of gone off. And at the moment, I'm doing 30 minutes each day. And basically, the end of my practice will incorporate a Metta meditation. So there are some easier and more difficult ways to make this happen. Now, on the easy side of the coin, we can think about people who we naturally have compassion and loving kindness towards. So, for example, if we get into this state of mind, and then we, for example, consider someone you care about, like your mom or your father or your maybe a sibling or maybe a really good friend, or if you have a spiritual practice already, maybe you have a figure in your tradition that you really resonate with. It could be a Jesus, a Muhammad, a Buddha. It could be the Dalai Lama. It could be someone that you just are really connected to, an artist, or someone that you in your community who you think is a really good person. And when you think about that person, you have no problem bringing up feelings of genuine compassion and genuine feelings of, hey, I hope that things just work out for you. I would love for your life to be as good as possible, and I genuinely have the feeling that I want your life to be excellent. So we can start by focusing on somebody who it's very easy for us to foster this sort of compassion. After that, with this compassion sort of generated, we can take this feeling into a number of directions. So one of the more difficult places to bring this compassion is to bring it to yourself, actually, to cultivate self-compassion. We tend to be so highly critical of ourselves that it can be a very good practice to first cultivate this feeling, think about the person who you cultivate compassion easily for. Think of them sitting in front of you. You can visualize them in front of you. You might wish them, may you find peace, may you find freedom, may you find strength and compassion, or any sort of set of words that works for you, but freedom from suffering, peace, love, compassion, strength, anything good that you want to sort of send towards that person to cultivate your sense of loving kindness is the place to start. You can repeat this 3 or 4 times, and then once you have that kind of feeling, that kind of glow inside of you, you can then shift who you're focusing this towards. So if you're going to focus on self-compassion, you might imagine looking at yourself in a mirror and kind of holding that compassion, and then looking at yourself and repeating the same words. May you find peace, may you find strength, may you find love and compassion, or whatever words work for you. My personal favorite, may you find peace, may you be free, may you find strength and compassion. These are usually the words that I use, and I've taken them from other traditions. I didn't make that up myself. And so yeah, we can then repeat that to ourself over several repetitions, to our image of ourself in the mirror. One that's even more difficult still is to, as we cultivate this feeling, and again, if you're losing the feeling, go ahead and go back to the person that you can cultivate these feelings easily with. Then maybe you think of somebody who is maybe your enemy, or maybe your competitor, or somebody who has wronged you, or somebody who you feel owes you an apology, and who maybe someone you haven't forgiven yet, or someone who you find it difficult to cultivate compassion for. And you can, again, start with the person that's easy, and then once you got the feeling of compassion and loving kindness go ahead and substitute this image with someone who is maybe more difficult, maybe your competitor, maybe your enemy, someone that you have animosity towards, someone who has wronged you in the past. And you can again wish them, may you find peace, may you be free, may you find strength and compassion. And you can repeat this several times until you can genuinely feel some of these feelings towards them. There is nothing but benefits to actually actively cultivate compassion, even towards people who we don't necessarily connect with. In the Dalai Lama's book, Stages of Meditation, he is very, very adamant and clear that if people are so serious about this process that they wish to take it all the way to enlightenment, that the first step is to cultivate what's known as calm abiding. And calm abiding is essentially just very focused, single-pointed meditation. And then you need special insight, which special insight is essentially the knowledge of how things really are, the fact that we have no self. This is special insight to the nature of whatever you're meditating on, what it's like to be that thing. This is a sort of advanced type of open awareness. And what it really takes is the awakening mind of bodhicitta. Now, all these terms aside, the point is that this awakening mind of bodhicitta is the authentic feeling, that the authentic wish and desire to alleviate suffering for all sentient beings on the planet. And that includes people who you might have animosity towards. This includes people who may have wronged you in the past. This includes people who maybe don't deserve, by every rational and conventional standard, they don't deserve to be forgiven, or they don't deserve to have compassion sent towards them. But nevertheless, these metta meditations are about cultivating loving compassion. And the Dalai Lama, at least, describes compassion as empathy plus the feeling of desiring the freedom of suffering for these individuals. So this is turning our empathy, our metta meditation, loving kindness towards someone we can easily generate, like a loved one. Maybe moving it towards ourselves to generate self-compassion when we have shortcomings. We fail all the time, and we deserve to be not so harsh on ourselves. And then we can even turn this towards an enemy or someone who we have animosity towards. And ultimately, how I like to always end my meditations is I imagine the earth floating in space, like as any picture you can just imagine it from. Just imagine the earth sitting there, and then I like to say the same thing. May you find peace, may you be free, may you find strength and compassion. And cultivating this feeling of loving kindness towards the entire planet, hopefully overcoming national borders, overcoming our whatever groups we're part of, but wishing this loving kindness, this peace towards the entire ecosystem and the entire planet, which includes everyone there. So this is generating a loving kindness. We can also take this technique, one other style to visualization to cultivate loving kindness, is we can actually, while we're sitting on our meditation cushion, we can then imagine looking at ourselves in the room that we're in. And you can imagine if a visualization of sort of this loving compassion sort of expanding from the heart and creating like an energy field. You can actively visualize the energy field coming from you until it envelops this field of loving compassion, envelops the room, envelops the home that you're in, until it expands even more to envelop the community that you're part of, to envelop the entire country that you're in, to even extend on to the whole region, to the whole planet. And if you can't want to, you could extend this sort of feeling as far as you can out to the eternity of the cosmos if you want. It's a visualization practice that it really depends on you. And so these are all different metta meditation techniques. Anything to cultivate loving kindness, compassion, empathy is going to ultimately be a feather in the cap. It's going to be a good thing for you to have, because if you can forgive other people who have wronged you, basically when you haven't forgiven somebody, it's not hurting them at all. It's just a way that whatever they did to hurt you is now lingering, the effects are lingering on into the future. And so this practice can hopefully warm us up to the entirety of the suffering of our fellow sojourners on this journey. We have a lot of problems on the planet, and so a good place to start is to try to cultivate loving kindness within ourselves. And this is really anyone who's searching for higher stages of realization, of even higher stages of psychological development, or just well-being on almost any level. These metta meditations are a good way to start. So thank you for joining me. Go ahead and click subscribe and like the videos below if you're enjoying the information shared here. And go ahead and over to precisionprinciple.com and join the game where you can practice these meditation and mindfulness techniques, bring them out with you into the world, and hopefully you can up your game in all areas of life, including loving compassion, metta meditations, single-pointed focus meditations, and open awareness. So thank you for joining me. In the meantime, keep learning, keep growing, just make every day count.